Welcome to Inside the Courtroom by LiveLaw, a segment where you get the fastest account of what happened in India's most important hearings, beyond the headlines and into the arguments themselves. So today, after 16 days of marathon hearings, the Sabarimala reference finally concluded. The 9-judge bench has reserved its order, and compilations of written submissions can be filed until May 29th. So here is what happened on the last day. Senior advocate Gopal Subramaniam wrapped up his arguments by drawing a sharp distinction between the two articles at the heart of this entire reference. He said religious denominations are not the entirety of a religion, they are groups within a faith. And the moment the person chooses to become a member of a denomination, their rights are traced through the denomination. But the choice to join or leave remains an individual one, protected under Article 25. He also pushed back on the idea of a hierarchy of rights, saying that constitutional interpretation of Articles 25 and Article 26 cannot rely on the same tools used to test laws. Senior advocate Rajiv Dhawan then made a broader historical point. He reminded the bench that the constitutional framers did not think of these rights in isolated compartments. They were deeply conscious of India's religious diversity and the country's need for social reform. And they were equally conscious that India exists not just as a collection of individuals but as a society of groups, which is why Articles 26, 29 and 30 protect group rights alongside individual ones. Then came Senior Advocate K. Parmeshwar, who was appointed by the court to assist in the matter, and his submissions are worth paying attention to. Parmeshwar told the bench that the essential religious practice test, the framework courts have used for decades to decide which practices are central enough to deserve protection, has caused more harm than good. His argument was that by privileging some practices over others, the test actually constricts the right to belief and exploration that Article 25 is supposed to guarantee. He made a particular observation about the Bishnoi community in Rajasthan, whose relationship with trees and animals is inseparable from their spiritual identity. Ask them, he said, to prove doctrinally that this is an essential religious practice, and they won't be able to. But that does not mean their faith does not deserve any protection. He also challenged the idea of conferring rights on the deity itself, an argument that has come up across multiple days of hearings. If the deity has constitutional rights, he warned, it would logically follow that the deity also has fundamental duties. That, he said, would lead to deeply problematic territory. And then, as per the text you can see on my right, the conversation turned to the line between religion and superstition. Parmeshwar said simply, one man's religion is another man's superstition. Between the two, the line is very thin. And the essential religious practice test, precisely because it looks for authority from text and purity of doctrine, it cannot protect traditions that are real but undocumented. On the question of the court's power to act where the lawmakers are not, the Chief Justice of India was categorical. He said that a constitutional court cannot surrender that responsibility. Another amicus, Shivam Singh, then addressed the constitutional morality idea, asking the bench to use it as a tool to understand the depth of a constitutional violation, not as a standalone weapon to strike down laws. Also, interestingly, he offered a cricket analogy. You can be dismissed, get out in recognized ways, but not for violating the sportsman's spirit. Morality, he argued, should illuminate the reasoning behind a provision, not replace it. And with that, the Sabarimala reference came to a close. 16 days, 9 judges, questions that cut across religion, individual freedom, denominational rights, the limits of judicial review too, and what it means to protect belief in a constitutional democracy. The order is now awaited, and LiveLaw has extensively covered every single day of these hearings. Head over to livelaw.in for these detailed reports. This has been Inside the Courtroom, and we'll see you next whenever there is an important hearing you need to know about.